Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Our webinar or conversation today is about the PlanHub Industry Report. This is the first time that we have published an annual industry report. It will not be the last. Next year, it'll be published in December. This year, we published it in January. And today's session is to dig in a little bit into the highlights of the report, and then also what are the implications for general contractors. So let's get started. So what we'll do is we're going to take a quick quiz, 4 questions, and then we're going to, as we go through today's presentation and discussion, share with you what your answers were, and you'll be able to see how it compared to what the industry report found. We're going to go through the highlights, like I mentioned, of the annual report and some of the findings. And then Justin's going to jump in and talk about what the implications are and some of the opportunities for general contractors based on those trends. So let me introduce myself. I am Susan Tormolin. I am VP of Marketing here at PlanHub. My career has focused on technology solutions, SaaS solutions, and marketplace solutions. And for the last 10 years, I've had the opportunity to really serve customers and help customers with solutions that help them with running their business, processes related to their business, and growing revenue. So I am always honored to be able to share and be here for you. And then Justin is my colleague, and I will let him introduce himself.
Yeah, thanks, Susan. Hi, my name is Justin Bell. I'm the Director of Growth here at PlanHub, and I've done everything, my career from data analytics and data science to operations, and more recently in IT product management. And over the last, about 2 years, have really dug into the space of construction technology and have had the absolute pleasure of working with, a lot of the folks probably here on the phone and other construction professionals about how to build products that can solve their everyday problems.
So we will dig in. And our first question, we've got 4 of them, is in 2022, did you send more, the same, or less ITBs than in the previous years? Question 2, do you plan to grow your business in 2023? Do you plan on using new technology in 2023? Are you planning on bidding on civil infrastructure and transportation projects this year? All right, we shall move on. So a little background on the PlanHub Industry Report. This report is really a snapshot of trends that we saw in the PlanHub platform. We have a team of data scientists. They looked at all kinds of different parameters and activities of over 300,000 active users. Now, they couldn't identify the actual active user. This was aggregated data, so I don't want anybody to feel creeped out or anything. But what we were able to do is identify some trends, which we're going to share. And as you see on the slide, there were 26,000 active general contractors who were part of this data mix. We also wanted to supplement some of the findings with an actual survey. So we surveyed over 450 users in December. These users were primarily in the business. They had seniority. So over 72% of them actually had been in business 10 years or longer, and over 50% had been in business for 20 years or longer. Wanted to make sure we were really getting expertise as we fielded our survey. And then you can see here as well, from a GC perspective, their main focus was commercial, with 79% of GC respondents saying that was their focus area, 14% government, and 7% residential. I also want to let you know that we will provide you tomorrow. If you haven't already downloaded the full report, you will get an email from us. It will have a link to this recorded version webinar, and it will also include a PDF of the full report. So the best news of all of the findings is that contractors, general contractors, and subcontractors are optimistic about continued business growth in 2023. Justin and I will, a couple times, I imagine, throughout this presentation, talk about uncertainties and the economy and things like that. But in general, the industry and you are feeling quite optimistic. In fact, 82% of the general contractors who were surveyed plan to grow their business over the next year, and 80% of subcontractors. So basically the subcontractors are tagging along with your success. As we all know, that's how it works. And they plan to grow their business as well. So Justin, can you see the quiz results? How did
Yeah.
everybody here respond?
Yeah, and I think our participants today are even more optimistic than the ones that we had done through our industry reports. So 91% on the call said that they plan to grow their business, in the upcoming year. So, even as you turn on the news and there's all this uncertainty in terms of recession and all the other factors that we're all feeling every single day in the construction industry, everyone is still optimistic about their growth perspectives. But I think as we're going to keep talking about, there's definitely going to be some challenges in achieving that. But it's always nice to see that, there is absolute optimism in terms of growth in this sector.
That is awesome. And so I'm going to do a shameless marketing plug here. And if you're one of our customers and you're on and you are that optimistic and you would be willing to do a case study, please comment in the chat and I will reach out to you tomorrow. But I'm really excited that everybody's feeling so optimistic. But as we know, there's always the pros and the cons, right? There are challenges as we head into 2023, and we surveyed and asked those, and there were no surprises here. These are the same challenges we have all seen that have been in publications like Forbes and Wall Street Journal, in reports published by Deloitte and Liberty Mutual. And that is that we've got the challenges of lack of skilled workers, rising material costs, and material lead delays. And some of these challenges, we can do the best we can to mitigate them. And in some senses, we're going to have to make improvements in other areas of the business to compensate for these. Also, if those are not one of your top challenges, I'd love to hear it. Go ahead and feel free to put that in the chat as well. One of the biggest findings, however, that we had that we were a little bit surprised about when we started digging into the data was that there are some changing behaviors of subcontractors. And this is data from the pandemic through 2022. One of the things we identified is that subcontractors are listing more trades. And on average, they were listing 20% more trades. This obviously has pros and cons to it for a general contractor. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. We also, in the survey, asked the subcontractors if they planned on listing more trades in 2023. So on top of this 20% increase that we saw through the pandemic, through the end of last year, 44% said they plan on adding more trades to their, their bag of tricks, I guess, in 2023. The other thing that we identified is that subcontractors are expanding their service area. So they are looking at projects up to 50% geographically further than they had before the pandemic. And they're bidding on a geographic area that's 47% bigger. Once again, there's pros and cons to this. The pro being you may get better bid coverage if people are able to and willing to go further. But we'll dig into that in just a little bit in a little more detail. The other thing that we honed in on is the idea of this commercial and civil infrastructure transportation projects. We all know there's a lot of funding going in there, but we wanted to see if we're seeing this already surface in the PlanHub community. And we did. We saw a 290% increase in projects posted on PlanHub. So when you take that, there's new opportunities in this infrastructure area. And there is the projection that the commercial construction industry will grow 6% in 2023. And that was from the AIA. There is opportunity. The question is it enough for everybody to grow? We're all hopeful that it would be, but there's definitely commercial and infrastructure projects on the rise. And Justin, what did we find from our survey respondents?
Yeah, and to kind of call back from the survey that we did at the beginning, there's definitely a good handful of participants in our audience today who are looking to kind of step more into the space, which makes a lot of sense. As Susan said, residential permits are starting to see a little bit of a dip, which also might have an effect on the retail, side of construction. So, it makes sense that a lot of people sort of hedge their bets against declines in those areas, might shift over to something that's a little bit more safe from a funding side, even if it does mean having to unfortunately go through a lot more paperwork with the government, with state and local governments. But again, if times get tough, there's always going to be tons of funding in this area over the next several years.
And so one of the ways that we can all manage our growth is through efficiency and through technology. And I'm sure everybody is aware of the investments that have happened in the technology space over the last 8 years or so. McKinsey had published that there was a $25 billion investment in new technologies for construction. And in 2021 alone, in the middle of the pandemic, there was still another 4.5% investment. So the good news for all of us, and especially for you, is that you have new tools available. You have a lot more opportunities and technologies that are at your hand to help you run your business better and grow your business. But we did ask what were the top construction technologies used. Here are the 6 that are used. Interestingly, there is, or maybe not interestingly, there is a lag on subcontractors embracing some of these technologies versus general contractors. So you can see here, takeoff, project accounting, project management, bid management are all, the top ones that were mentioned. We were a little surprised by bid management, though. Still only, less than 50% of people are using bid management tools. But we're seeing growth. So in our platform alone, in the last year and a half, there's been a 365% increase in GCs posting their first projects. And there's also been an increase in subcontractors bidding. So we're definitely seeing this engagement with new technologies to help run the business. Let's see, I'm going to go to the next one. And we asked you this question as well. Are you planning on investing in new technology in 2023? And what we found from our survey was that 91% of general contractors are planning or considering using new technologies. And then shortly behind that are the subcontractors as well. So while we saw a gap in what technologies they're currently using, the adoption rate is about the same for both general contractors and subcontractors. So Justin, give us the goods. How about this audience on the webinar today?
Yeah, and the audience actually aligns pretty closely with what we found in our industry report. So again, our audience is looking to kind of help adopt new technologies. And I'm also going to kind of piggyback off of something that you mentioned from the McKinsey report. There was another report actually just published this January from University of Chicago. In their study, they had actually concluded that out of all the major sectors within the US economy, construction is the only one that not only didn't see any productivity growth, but arguably productivity declines. So we already kind of talked about, and everyone is feeling sort of the labor shortages and the availability of skilled laborers, but there's also within our industry, not a whole lot of, again, like productivity gains that have really kind of helped us get the job that we need to do faster, whether that's within pre-construction or on-site or anything afterwards. So, and this is where hopefully PlanHub can kind of come in to help bridge the gap in a small way, at least within the pre-construction side of things. So, what kind of opportunities do we have as general contractors when using a platform like PlanHub to overcome some of these challenges that we just spoke about? So for me, again, Wells Fargo also puts out their own study as well. They call it the optimism quotient for construction. And again, similar to ours, everyone's cautiously optimistic, but the number one challenge they also had, had in their report was skilled labor. So to me, what better place to kind of overcome that challenge of skilled labor than to be able to have access to a platform that has a large breadth of skilled trade contractors covering almost 400 different trades in all 50 states across the US. So, and this, not only breadth that you get, we also are starting to expose quality as well, right? So it's one thing, and again, to kind of call back to the earlier results, pretty much everybody is either sending more ITBs or just about the same. But I think it was a majority have said that they're sending more ITBs. So again, Subcontractors are willing to go further to bid on and perform work. But just because we're kind of opening that can of worms up, we want to make sure that the labor that we're getting in is skilled and qualified and going to be a good participant in the project that you're going to be working on. So for example,
Justin, let me jump in, because in our data analysis, we found over the last 18 months that GCs were sending on average 35% more ITBs than they had previously.
oh wow, yeah, and that definitely drives the audience. If I'm looking at from the first one, 38% said that they're sending more ITBs.
Oh, okay.
0% said less. So everybody's sending more. But again, so it's not just about getting this, project and invitations to bid out to tens of thousands of trade contractors. We also want to be able to isolate on certain things. I know in talking to, owners and developers, business diversity is starting to become more and more important relative to previous years. So for example, with our directory solution, you can filter down to see who's got a small business qualification, minority-owned business, veteran-owned business, women-owned business, or if you're looking for, do they meet a particular bonding capacity that I need for an upcoming job? Our directory does allow you to be able to kind of filter down and look through those qualifications, and of course, look at where their coverage area is in terms of where they need to work, and as well as what trades that they are willing to do a job for. So hopefully that's a way that we can kind of help sort of bridge some of the labor challenges that we've been speaking about and has been corroborated through multiple reports as well. But there's also this productivity side that we kind of briefly spoke to. And PlanHub originally, when it was built, was all about bid coverage. But we also realized that we needed to, and talking to general contractors, realized that there's also a need to have some productivity tooling built into the platform as well. So that way I can have an easy one-stop shop. I don't need to bounce around to multiple different sites. So we created a set of bid management tools to kind of help organize when you get those bids in, and to be able to level those bids across each other, to be able to quickly and easily make decisions about what do I want to rank, which ones do I like, be able to kind of communicate easily back and forth with the subcontractor over that particular bid that they made. And lastly, also to be able to do takeoff. This is something that we're going to be looking at adding into the platform later this year. But again, to be able to have just a one-stop shop for some of these items across bid management, and to be able to do a takeoff on anything that you need to be able to grab measurements off of in a one-stop shop will hopefully also make your estimators and coordinators jobs a little bit more productive than they are today. And lastly, we also have introduced a product that not only allows you to be able to get bid coverage on things that are obviously in bidding status right now, but what about if you want to hop into new sectors and new geographies that you're not in today? How do you get your foot in the door with a developer, an owner, an architect? You need to be able to kind of have that sort of lead, and to be able to chase that lead and start to build that relationship as you want to build into that new sector. As we said before, residential starts are down. We see the permits are declining, which could have an effect on some other areas in the private sector, like on retail and restaurants. If you're heavily in those sectors now, and you want to, again, have something to kind of de-risk yourselves, we have found that, our lead finder product, and talking to a few GCs, has been a good tool to kind of open them up to new states and regions that they previously didn't work in before, and also to be able to find new sectors that are a little bit, red hot, like multifamily has been red hot for the last couple of months. And also to be able to find, some institutional projects like schools and hospitals that also have great funding and some good demand being driven into that space. So hopefully with this suite, we can help kind of bridge some of the skilled labor shortages that you're seeing through providing a vast network of trade contractors, and to be able to offer some, productivity gains through being able to more efficiently manage your bids. And then lastly, if you want to be able to sort of navigate sort of the waters of 2023, we have this really great lead finder product that can help you navigate and make really strategic moves into, different sectors or different geographies. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Susan, who's got some really great words of wisdom from the.
I'm gonna get warm and fuzzy here for a minute. I just got back from a yoga retreat, and as you can imagine, at a yoga retreat, everybody's positive and manifesting and doing all these things. But when I got back, I pulled these back up. I love data. I loved our surveys. I love digging into PlanHub, information and the platform. But at the end of our surveys, we asked for words of wisdom. And these just delight me, and they should delight you because it shows what your peers are like. And what they're like is they're business savvy, they've got grit, they've got drive, they've got optimism. You can kind of look at some of these. Let me see if I can pop up a few. Keep looking up, stay ready to be ready. Life begins at the end of the comfort zone. I think this is why we're all in this business, is that we have the right attitude. We are excited about the work we do. We do make a difference in the economy. We keep people employed. And I just wanted to share these. And then when you get the recorded version, if you like some of them, you can pull them out and share them with your team as well. But I love you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Why not look at new projects, right? Why not see what else is out there? And then, this last one I love, all good things come with a great mentality. So if you have any other words of wisdom that you don't see up here, feel free to share those. We've been putting them on social media once a week, highlighting some of them. But I think this just shows, like I said, the grit that all of you have and this whole industry has. So we're going to wrap up pretty quick because, we didn't want to take up too much of your time. We wanted to make sure you just had the highlights and some food for thought on how it might apply to you and growing your business. And I think, Justin, were you going to bring us home on this one?
Yeah, I can kind of close this out a little bit. And again, I'll kind of, between talking to a couple of general contractors and just kind of going through research on my own, 2023 seems to be the year of cautious optimism. And, I think everyone's going into this year eyes wide open, understanding the risks, knowing that times are going to be a little bit tumultuous. We're still feeling sort of pains from the, bottlenecks in the supply chain that are, even though they are alleviating a bit, we're all still feeling them, and we're all still feeling high prices for commodities, and we're all still, of course, feeling the skilled labor shortage. And on top of that, knowing that, it's taking longer and longer to do things because regulations are going becoming a lot stricter, arguably having, some kickback on productivity because of that. It's going to be a very tough year, and it's going to be maybe, a little tough of a future, but I think everyone, again, is coming in optimistic about the prospects, as long as we as business owners are making really smart decisions about the technologies that we adopt and the choices that we make in terms of what new areas of construction to step into. I think this is going to be still a good year for construction and a great year, for general contractors who are making those right pivots. So I'll kind of let Susan close this out.
I get to close it up. Excellent.
Plug for our conferences later this year.
So one, anybody that would like a personalized demo, if you're using our platform but not to the fullest, we're happy to show you the product in detail. If you want to look into Lead Finder and see what kind of leads might be in your area, sign up for a demo as well at connect@planhub.com. And our personal invitation to you is we are attending a few upcoming conferences. We'll be at AGC, and we're also going to be at Advancing Pre-Construction. There's some others, but these are the big ones in the near future. And we would love to meet you in person. So if you are planning on attending the conference, I know we do a lot of work online, a lot of work by phones, and that's the beauty of technology and also the bummer of technology. But if you are there, we would love to meet with you and say hello and buy you a coffee or maybe something else if you have different preferences. So just comment in the chat or reach out to us after the fact, and you'll get an email tomorrow and you can reply back to that. But that's our invitation because we love face-to-face. So thank you again for joining. You will receive the industry report tomorrow. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Justin or myself. You can just reply back to the email, or you can take our first initial last name at planhub.com. So thank you again. We're honored that we got to share some time with you today.